In the previous video, we discussed the struggle of Ukrainians for independence after the First World War. Between the First and Second World Wars, the lands where Ukrainians lived were again divided by state borders. Previously, it was the border of the Russian Empire and Austria-Hungary. Now, Ukraine was divided between the Soviet Union, Poland, Romania, and Czechoslovakia. Most Ukrainians found themselves under the rule of Red Moscow. The Bolsheviks did not simply conquer Ukraine. They appropriated much of the Ukrainian national movement's programmatic elements to win popular support. Instead of the Ukrainian People's Republic, the Communists established the Ukrainian Socialist Soviet Republic. The Soviet Union formally presented itself as a federation of equal republics, including Russian, Ukrainian, Belarusian, and others. The reality was a centralized totalitarian state where proclaimed rights and freedoms were mere illusions. Internationally, the Soviet Union was still routinely referred to as Russia, out of habit. Poland conquered the western Ukrainian territories of Galicia and Volhynia. Like the Soviet Union, Interwar Poland was a multinational state. Ukrainians lived in the country's southeastern part and constituted the largest national minority, comprising approximately 14% of the population. Despite international commitments, Poland denied Ukrainians autonomous rights and undermined their national identity. Romania attempted to assimilate its Ukrainian citizens in Bukovina and Bessarabia. Bucharest felt threatened because Bessarabia had previously been part of the Russian Empire. The Soviet Union refused to recognize Bessarabia as Romanian territory, with Moscow formally maintaining territorial claims to the region. Czechoslovakia emerged as the most democratic state encompassing Ukrainian ethnic lands. It was also multinational and therefore vulnerable. Neighboring Hungary contested Czechoslovakia's control of Transcarpathia, populated mostly by Ukrainians. In 1921, the Bolsheviks and Poles signed a state border agreement in Riga. 11 years later, the USSR and Poland signed a non-aggression pact. But the Ukrainian question perpetually complicated their diplomatic relations. Moscow promoted the narrative of reunification, advocating for Western Ukrainians to rejoin their Eastern brothers in the USSR. In Galicia and Volhynia, the underground Communist Party of Western Ukraine opposed Polish authorities. Warsaw responded in kind, supporting the anti-Soviet government in exile of the Ukrainian People's Republic led by Simon Petlura. Warsaw also proclaimed Prometheism, a policy of national liberation of the enslaved peoples of the USSR. In this confrontation, some Ukrainians focused on Moscow, others on Warsaw. Another group of Ukrainians declared all the occupiers of Ukraine, such as Russia and Poland, to be enemies. The Organization of Ukrainian Nationalists, OUN, was founded in Vienna in 1929. Its founders diagnosed the defeat of the Ukrainian People's Republic as a result of its leaders' ideological inconsistency and left-wing sympathies. The OUN considered democracy a weak form of government unsuitable for the struggle for independence. The nationalists blamed the liberal West for indifference, treachery, and indecision. Instead, they looked to the right-wing authoritarian regimes and movements gaining popularity in Europe. The OUN considered the League of Nations, international law, and parliamentarism ineffective. The way to success was through armed struggle. Yevhen Konovalets, a veteran of the independence movement of the Ukrainian People's Republic, initially led the OUN. Following his assassination by Soviet secret services in 1938, UNR Colonel Andriy Melnik headed the organization. The OUN established an underground network in Galicia and Volhynia, engaging in propaganda and active resistance against Polish authorities, including targeted assassinations of officials and bank robberies. It was then that the world first heard about Stepan Bandera, the future leader of the national movement. The OUN's attempts to expand into Soviet Ukraine proved unsuccessful due to the more suppressive regime. They nonetheless secured secret support from Lithuania and later established connections with Germany. The 1930s witnessed Nazi Germany in opposition to both the liberal West and the Communist USSR. Berlin also made territorial claims against its neighbors, particularly Poland. However, the mad Nazi propaganda never hindered Germany's diplomatic arrangements to promote its interests in the international arena. Remembering 1918, the Germans actively leveraged the Ukrainian question. When Nazi Germany seized the Sudetenland from Czechoslovakia in 1938, Prague granted Transcarpathian Ukrainians autonomy under the name Subcarpathian Rus. Ukrainians hoped for Berlin's foreign policy support, while Hitler pretended to want to liberate all of Ukraine, beginning with Transcarpathia. But the Nazis had other plans: to give Subcarpathian Ukraine to their ally Hungary. Transcarpathia represented an enclave of Ukrainian freedom and self-governance for nearly 6 months. When Hungary invaded in March 1939, local Ukrainians declared independence. Collaborating with the OUN, they launched an armed resistance, the first in Europe against Hitler's ally. After dismembering Czechoslovakia, Hitler unexpectedly negotiated a non-aggression pact with Stalin, known as the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact. Its secret protocol divided Poland and delineated spheres of influence in the Baltic region. A week later, on September 1st, 1939, Germany invaded Poland, and the Second World War began. On September 17, 1939, the Red Army crossed the Polish border, proclaiming liberation and reunification of Ukrainian and Belarusian peoples. Reunification within Soviet Ukraine took place, but liberation did not. Residents of Galicia and Volhynia lost even the minimal democratic freedoms they had experienced under Polish rule. You will learn more about this in the next module.